He goes ahead and has Rome sniff the cocaine that is laced with fentanyl, and immediately starts talking that noise like, "Hey, have you ever seen someone die before? Man, you lucky you got someone who can talk you through death." And it's what's the saying? It goes, sometimes it's the quiet ones that you got to watch out for. And Woddy is definitely one of the more level-headed, quiet guys on the Dirty Dozen tour. Hey, what's going on, folks? Another episode of Just My Opinion with Ryan. This is your guy, yours truly, Ryan. And before we get into it, if this is your first time here, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for those who keep returning, I truly, truly appreciate it. As you can see from the background, still out and about on 4th of July weekend, but forget all that. Let's get into P-Valley. Wonderful, wonderful episode. I'm liking the way the director's going with this. Katori Hall is doing big things. I would appreciate more episodes that are just focusing on the history of some of these main characters. This episode, we clearly get the history of Keyshawn, aka Mississippi. So you kind of see how she ended up at the P-Valley, or just her background. I thought that was really dope. And of course, we'll get into it as this episode moves along. But definitely, in my opinion, the MVP of this episode wholeheartedly has to go to Woddy. Which is mainly known as Murder's manager, and we'll get into that later. But I thought it was really cool just to see how Keyshawn really ended up at the Pink, or ended up in this situation with her husband Derek. They both were pretty much high school sweethearts, as we see, and they just really came from two different worlds. And of course, in a place like Mississippi, that's very, very evident. Even from the difference between the two types of separate proms that was highlighted. So let's get into it. I thought it was interesting because if you didn't know about Keyshawn's background, you thought she may have came from rough beginnings from the jump. But we see that she came from a financially stable household. She was in a mixed family after her father divorced her biological mother. And I like the way that I even like the way that they had Clifford narrate the whole thing. It really felt like almost like a Cinderella with evil not stepsisters, but definitely a Cinderella with an evil stepmother vibe. We clearly got that. But no, so clearly both Derek and Keyshawn, they came from money. Keyshawn's family, huge house. As I mentioned, the father is for whatever reason kept custody of Keyshawn instead of Keyshawn living with the mother. And as I mentioned, Derek and Keyshawn both came from money, so it was very shocking just to see that happen. And apparently, the only reason why they even ended up in that situation was clearly Derek's parents, did not approve of Keyshawn. They did not approve of Derek and Keyshawn having a baby, and we see where this anger comes from when it comes to Derek. Clearly he blames Keyshawn for the type of life he has. But although he made his decisions and is looking for someone to blame, just in case maybe someone didn't really pay attention to some of the dialogue there. We even see that the first time he gets abusive, he's like, I feel like you trapped me, and if it's because of you that my family has disowned me, I'm out of the will and everything, so we can't get any of that money. But unfortunately, it's kind of the same thing with Keyshawn. They didn't outwardly say that they disapproved of Derek, but it was a situation where it felt like it was the stepmother who kind of ran the household instead of Keyshawn's biological father, which is very sad. And I guess even though we're a few minutes into this video, there is a disclaimer. There are definitely a few scenes that for me was kind of hard to watch. Both because you just heartbreaking and just hard to watch. And one of those first scenes for me was Keyshawn returning to the house that the stepmother and her father is living in. And after the first signs of domestic abuse, she runs back to the house. She's pregnant at this point, but she's like, I mean, I would have hoped. I thought she was going to explain specifically what happened, but we see that the stepmother answers the door instead of Keyshawn's biological father, and the stepmother sees Keyshawn pregnant, crying. Although there's no sign of physical signs of abuse, she's clearly like, I need to move back in, and the mom turns her away, which was very, ignorant to do. The stepmother is like, I can't have my daughters around this, you made your decision. And so I was hoping that maybe like the biological father would have stepped in at some point and be like, no, this is my daughter. If she needs our help, we're going to be there to support. But nah, we didn't get any of that. I'm not. It seems like from the backstory, it seems like the father was traveling on business a lot in the first place. But nevertheless, I would have loved to see something like the moment Keyshawn got kicked, denied entrance into her father's house in the first place. I was hoping it was going to show a scene like maybe she trying to call her father and be like, hey, I need help. Instead of her feeling like she had to resort to going back to an abusive boyfriend at this point. I don't even think that they were married at this point. But nevertheless, I thought that was great. And also in addition to that, we see the bouncing of timelines. We see the backstory, and then we see current time. Once again, this episode really focused on the origin story of Keyshawn. And when it goes back to present time, of course, that's what we see the other main characters during this Dirty Dozen tour. We do see the Uncle Murders and Teak drama still. We see Woddy doing his thing, and we see Rome acting ignorant as ever. And that's what we're really getting to after that. And of course, another thing that I'm liking about this season already, the random cameos. We got the one cameo a few episodes back with Mr. Where the Money Resides. That was cool. But in this episode, we actually get a cameo from the love and hip hop legend herself, Jocelyn. Jocelyn Hernandez shows up, still showing people that she got the moves still. She still can do what she do, because for those who aren't familiar, her whole background was a stripper. I remember, it feels like in the Stone Ages, or ages and years ago. I remember she was like a dancer in one of Two Live Crew and Luke videos at one point. So, but nevertheless, I thought that was cool to see like a Jocelyn Hernandez appearance. And so yeah, I thought it was really dope. And so as I mentioned, that was definitely very enlightening to see the type of background that Keyshawn and Derek, for that matter, came from. But when we go back to present day, I gotta say, I really thought things would have went a whole lot differently when it came to Rome. For starters, I thought after Rome tried to take advantage of Keyshawn physically, I thought when she was knocking on the door, she was knocking on the door of Uncle Murder. Because clearly, Uncle Murder and Keyshawn, I feel like they have that rapport to where if someone is bothering Keyshawn, I truly feel like Uncle Murder would go handle that situation. So when she was running and banging on the door, I thought she was going to go get Uncle Murder to go stomp Rome out. That's what I was hoping for, actually. But the conclusion was even better. So we see that she's knocking on the door of Woddy instead. She's crying to Woddy. She's and also that scene was hard to watch. Seeing Rome trying to rape Keyshawn. But as I mentioned, Keyshawn, scratched him, got away, and she's knocking on the door of Woddy. She's crying. She's calling herself stupid. And also, we also see that which actually that is a question I do have. When Keyshawn does cry to Woddy, she lets Woddy know that, hey, Rome knows everything. I don't know how, I don't know why. I'm gonna need more of an explanation, but for somehow, some way, Rome has some secret sex tape of Lil Murder having sex with another man. I'm not sure if it's some hidden camera was placed that showed Little Murder and Teague going at it or what. But I'm gonna need more answers with that when it comes to these writers and directors, because I'm like, where in the hell did Rome get this scandalous, video of Uncle Murder having sex? But nevertheless, so she tells Woddy what's going on, and I feel like, in my opinion, I felt like immediately Woddy went into, you know, let me defend my investment manager mode. We see how he handled business himself. So he goes, has this meeting with Rome, and he comes with a peace offering or a gift. And of course we've seen in the previous episodes. We've seen in previous seasons that Rome definitely likes to play with his nose. He likes a little bit of that nose candy. So that's the type of peace offering that Woddy comes to in the first place, and he comes there, with the front as if they're going to talk manager business. And so he goes ahead and has Rome sniff the cocaine that is laced with fentanyl, and immediately starts talking that noise like, hey, have you ever seen someone die before? Man, you lucky you got someone who can talk you through death. And it's, what's the saying? It goes, sometimes it's the quiet ones that you got to watch out for. And Woddy is definitely one of the more level-headed, quiet guys on the Dirty Dozen tour. And it definitely played off. I did not see that ending coming. But I feel like he had to do that for a number of reasons. One, I feel like his number one reason, despite the fact that he does like Keyshawn, I feel like his number one reason was to protect his investment. Woddy knows that Murder is gay. Keyshawn knows that Murder is gay. But the whole thing of making sure no one else knows that he's gay, I feel like that type of protecting my investment, aspect came in when it came to Woddy. So, and of course, the icing on the cake is also just to avenge Rome trying to rape Keyshawn. So that was pretty dope to see. I love the way it ended. One other notable funny part to me was definitely when you see Teak having some type of an attitude problem for no damn reason. Woddy and Keyshawn give each other that eye contact, and they have the little text like, are these two having sex? And Woddy's looking at him like, yeah, I think these two are having sex. So it was clear as day, just from the awkward chemistry in the room. And before I end this video, the other scene that is hard to see, which I hope he gets handled as well. But it was hard to see when Keyshawn returns from the tour and is, immediately notices that her children are being physically abused by Derek. And she's being the mother that she is, she wants to stick up for her kids. And, she takes him to the doctor and realizes that one of the kids, and once again, these are babies. Like, I think the oldest is like 3 years old. The oldest has a dislocated elbow. He has bruises on his back. So, of course, being the mother that she is, Keyshawn confronts Derek about it, and she gets beat on. And, I understand that, yes, I still definitely wasn't a fan of Keyshawn pulling the gun out on Diamond, in the season finale of season 1. But when you see someone getting abused like that, that's definitely not the time to be on some I told you so stuff, So, it was hard to watch Keyshawn get beat on like that. And, it's one of those situations where I think that I think the show was highlighting that, in some cases it's perhaps harder than someone thinks. It's harder than you think when it comes to getting away from your abuser. And that's why I appreciated the backstory. The very first time she got beat on, she went to what she thought could have been her support system, and nobody was there to support her. And even though in present day, it was almost like maybe she felt hopeless or somewhat desensitized to in a sense. And maybe she still feels that way, that she has no support system to go to. I mean, granted, the people at P-Valley, they knew what she was going through when it was supporting her by watching her baby and stuff like that. But who knows? I'm sure Keyshawn regrets, pulling the gun on Diamond when Diamond was fighting Derek in the first place. So, let me know what you guys think. If you have any predictions for some of the next episodes, I do feel like there will be, at some point, there'll be a round two between Diamond and Derek. And I think this time around, Keyshawn will be on Diamond's side. That's one of my predictions. Either that, or this is just me wishful thinking. Perhaps either Woddy will come into play, take care of Derek. Apparently, Woddy is like some undercover Ray Donovan type of dude. That's all. That was like a Ray Donovan type of mission, the way he handled Rome. But wishful thinking, I would hope that somebody like not Uncle Murder. I keep getting them mixed up with the real rapper. Hopeful, wishful thinking, I'm wishing that somebody like Murder and even T will come to Keyshawn's aid and maybe stomp Derek out also. But nevertheless, man, those are some predictions, and I would love to see more origin stories throughout the seasons of P Valley. Definitely would love to see an origin story of Mercedes, and wouldn't mind seeing an origin story of Murder. Who we now know as Lil Murder, and know his whole down low history that he has going on. So I would love to see more origin stories like that. So that's just my opinion. Excuse me. Love it or hate it, folks. That's just my opinion. Peace.